right, I just wanted to touch some other stuff that we'll find useful. I want to kind of pass this around, take a look at this. This is one of the things that, I don't have it on here, but one of the things that I do when I used to travel and fish tournaments and stuff, I did a lot of research before I hit the water, and one of the things that I used to use was Google Earth. The other things that you can kind of fool with is that smartphone apps, if in fact you're going to be on the water, and you want to know what the tides are, Tides for Fishing is a good app. It really does a really good job of based on where you physically are, and you can look at that. My Radar is my personal absolute 100% favorite. It's real-time radar, and we'll let you know what the weather is right where you're standing, and you'll be able to track all of the incoming weather so that you can get out of there if you have to. Okay. Fish rules are changing so fast in this environment with FWC. This is an online app that will tell you what fish rules are in effect for the fish based on where you're physically standing or where your physical boat is at the time. As an example, Volusia County has a different redfish requirement than Flagler County. The app will say, you're in Volusia County, you can only catch one redfish if you check it. If you move over the line and you move into Flagler County, it's going to tell you that you can catch two. So it's a great little app to keep you out of trouble. I have those on my cell phone if anybody's interested in seeing that. One of the books that I buy every year, that I honestly didn't buy this year, you can take a look at this. This is called, I'm a big fan of Florida Sportsman, so you can take a look at this. This is what they call their planner, and it gives you basically where all the tides are in the whole state of Florida. And it also gives you a tremendous amount of other information back there, temperature ranges, rigs, and things like that, how to tie it. And the interesting thing here is that they produce, every month they produce a tide chart for the month. And in that tide chart, they have little fishies. Okay, and that is the best fishing for the month. And my wife looks at that. She has one of these on our counter, and she goes, "Oh, we got little fishies this week, so I guess we're going fishing." So if you want to do a little research, you can kind of look at that. There's other places that have it. I just happen to use it on this because when we used to fish tournaments and travel a lot, I could look at any tide, any place I wanted in the state. So you can take a look at that. Thank you, sir. And then the other one that I do use a lot, and you can see this is well dog-eared. This is Sport Fish of Florida. Trust me, you're going to eventually get to the point where you're going to catch a fish and we're going to go, what the hell is that? Okay? This will tell you what the hell it is and if you should be touching it or not. Or you can eat it or not, yeah. So take a look at that. You can buy that. And then finally, one of the keys for fishing around here is being able to tie the right knot and to rig the stuff right. And Florida Sportsman has a bait and rigging tackle booklet that is excellent. So that you can kind of use that as a guide on it. It tells you every knot that you might need to tie. It tells you how to rig some of the baits and that kind of stuff, be it inshore or offshore. So that's really pretty good stuff. You can buy them online from Florida Sportsman. Just go onto their website. West Marine has some of the tackle shops. West Marine used to have them, but I usually just buy it online. So I usually plan 5 hours, or used to plan 5 hours, but as I said, if I'm doing a redfish trip and they want to catch redfish, I'm going to look at when low tide is, and I'm going to go 2 hours before and 2 hours after. And that's where I'm going. That's where I'm taking them, is where I can get that. First of all, anything you see on TV, that you see on the paper, says high tide's this, low tide's that, throw that away. Okay? That doesn't, if you, for what we're doing here in backcountry stuff, it just doesn't do anything for you. We have a number of tide stations locally. And first of all, when you're calculating what the tide is, all right, where you want to go. Keep in mind that everything starts at the inlet, and everything starts up here at the Matanzas Inlet. And I apologize that you really can't see this too well. But there is a tide station right at Matanzas Inlet now on A1A, and you'll see it. Check the club website because the club website has all these tide stations on it. So if you want to know what time low tide or high tide is at that Matanzas Inlet Bridge, you can just go to the tide chart for that spot. It's A1A Matanzas. Okay. Which is fairly new, just within the last couple of years. So as an example, if you really want, now you got to understand, if the tide is 5 o'clock in the morning at the inlet, it can't be 5 o'clock at Bing's, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And that's the fallacy of this whole thing. High tide at Bing's is usually about 2 hours after high tide at Matanzas Inlet. So before we had the tide station, if you wanted to go out and fish the inlet, you had to take the Bing's tide and knock off 2 hours, and then you would go. So that's pretty much what it is. All right. The really interesting thing is when you get, so anyway, this is Bing's, and this is plus 2 hours compared to what you would, as far as, and compared to the Matanzas Inlet. All right. As you continue to go further south, some interesting things happen. If you were fishing Porpoise Creek, does everybody know where Porpoise Creek is? If you say no, if somebody says no, I'll tell you. Nope. No? Oh, okay. Do you know where the new lower bridge is on the ICW? By Marineland, north of Marineland. It's kind of the big canal that goes off to the west. That's called Porpoise Creek. Is that as close as you can get with that, I guess, right? So if you're going to fish Porpoise Creek there, it's going to be about an hour difference, all right? Because Porpoise Creek is about halfway between Bing's Landing and the Matanzas Inlet. So this is 0. You get over here, it's +1. You get over to Bing's, it's +2. Then you get down into the Palm Coast canals, and that could be 3, 4, almost 5 hours difference, depending on what canal, where you are in the canals. All right. So my suggestion on that is if you live on one of the canals, you get yourself a beverage, and you go sit on the dock, and when the water stops, you can see and do your own calculations. All this stuff is your stuff. All right. You're not going to find this published anyplace. All right. So if you want to fish that 4-hour bracket, and you want to fish the canals of Palm Coast, you need to take whatever this number is up here and add 4 or 5 hours to it to get to the tidal point that you want to fish. Does everybody understand that? If you're a little fuzzy, please raise your hand because this is the key to this whole thing. All right. If you continue to move down and you go past the toll bridge, you go past the 100 bridge, some interesting things happen. Now we have another tide station at Smith Creek. So you can go and you have a tide station at Bing's. So you can calculate wherever you want it to be from here to here by using it, obviously take a subtraction of the time and divide it by whatever you think you want it to be. Then when you get down south of the 100 bridge, you get this pretty interesting. We get to High Bridge, which is right in the northern edge of Volusia County. Everybody know where High Bridge is? Yes? Anybody say no? Okay. That's an interesting spot because what happens when the water comes in Matanzas Inlet, it heads southbound when it's incoming water until it gets to about High Bridge. And it meets the incoming water that's coming out of Ponce Inlet. So what happens around the High Bridge area is that you get the two incoming waters that come and they collide. And if you want some really, really good snook fishing, go down to the High Bridge Bridge at night. There's great snook fishing down there at night. Some great red fishing right off that bridge as well. But why? There's tidal flow there. There's structure there. so consequently, there's fish there. Everybody kind of get that? You get down around, you get here, which is really interesting. And again, the incoming water is southbound. When you go south of High Bridge, incoming water is northbound. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. That's kind of a little unique thing that we run into here. As you go further north, okay, if you go the other way, if you go up towards St. Augustine, okay, you have exactly the same situation, but actually you don't, because most of the water in our area goes out St. Augustine Inlet. Only about 30% of the water goes out Matanzas Inlet when it's outgoing water in Palm Coast. Most of that water goes to St. Augustine. Only some of it goes out of Matanzas, which is kind of interesting. University of Florida just finished like a 5-year study on that. It was kind of pretty interesting. So, okay, and then when you get down further south, you get into an area, the Tomoka Basin, and an area called the Toilet Bowl. That's where I live. Not in the Toilet Bowl, but I live close to there. And we have some very unique situations there in the backcountry where you have, at the Toilet Bowl, you can have incoming water on one side of the berm and outgoing water on the other side of the berm. And where they meet in the middle, where they go out into the ICW, they create this vortex. And it actually looks like a toilet flushing when the water really runs. So if you just want to go see something that's kind of unusual and pretty cool, you can go over there and you can watch the guys in the kayaks spin around in circles. Okay, so this is the key. Remember what we talked about. Pick your time when you want to go, and then you decide where you're going once you pick your time. Has everybody kind of got that one? And that makes the difference, you know. And you can't be going by the Tide stuff that's in the paper, or TV, or Spectrum, or whatever. You need to be doing it. Take it off the club website. You can take it off of the planner from the Florida Sportsman or whatever. But that's the key to being at the right place at the right time. All righty. Okay. Thank you, everyone.